Welcome to Guiding Families Forward Through Divorce.
Hello and welcome back to Guiding Families Forward Through Divorce with attorney Ann Hamer. Ann is a family law attorney and founding partner of Hamer and Taylor with offices in Memphis and Nashville. She focuses on guiding high net worth clients through divorce with discretion, strategy, and compassion, helping families move forward with clarity and confidence. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're talking about what to expect in a high asset divorce. Ann, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be able to share a little bit. It's a very specific topic for a very specific type of family, but it's definitely different than how a regular divorce goes down. And so I think it's an important topic for anybody who's living in that world. And certainly a lot of my Nashville clients are living in that world. And you'd be surprised how many clients we get from smaller towns who are very high asset and just very private about it. And so when those kind of divorces come our way, they want to keep things very private. That's why discretion is one of the top things I want to talk about when we discuss high asset divorces.
Yeah, absolutely. Like what kinds of cases are considered high asset divorce?
I would say obviously, everybody wants to protect their nest egg, no matter what size it is.
Sure.
A high asset divorce, 20 million and up, a 10 million and up divorce is still high asset in certain worlds and needs to be taken care of it can get complicated. So I think, but 20 million and up for sure, 15 million and up, it depends. It really, to me, it's 20 million and up based on what I see in my practice. But what I would say is anytime you're talking in the upper millions, 10 million, 15, 20 and up, there are usually some pretty complex business arrangements, trust arrangements. There's been estate planning done. There are things to consider. There can be confusing or challenging stock ownerships, business ownerships that need to be dealt with. And you can't just go to somebody who is used to splitting up a house, 2 cars, and a couple bank accounts, one joint account. That's not the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you could elaborate a little bit more on the difference between these high asset cases and the typical divorce case. You kind of just touched on it a little bit. It's a little bit
Yeah.
more.
I went to a really good seminar the other day, and a state lawyer was talking about, sort of a typical case. Okay, let's say there's up to maybe 5 million, and a million and a half of that is somebody's Roth or SEP IRA or whatever, some kind of retirement account. $1.5 million might be the house. In Nashville, the house could be 2 million that you bought for, 500,000 15 years ago. So you're looking at the big asset is the house. The next big asset would be the retirement account. There might be a small pension. There might be another retirement account. Cars, bank accounts, and credit card debt, maybe some student loan debt still if they're a young couple. Maybe a pension if you've got a pilot or somebody like that. But that's about it. And that can be split up pretty easily. Military pensions can be split up pretty easily. Military retirements can be split up pretty easily. So when you're looking at those divorces, I would not consider that high asset or incredibly or even particularly complex. When you get into a divorce where there are irrevocable trusts, revocable trusts, 529 plans, children's trusts. Then you're also, let's throw in maybe a family-owned business or what I've started seeing a lot of, clients who make a lot of money can be very conservative with their money, but at times they can also seem to be, well, what the heck, let's try a little Bitcoin. Because for them, what's 1.5 million, right? Maybe not that much. Maybe that would make me throw up to do. But to them, that doesn't even bother them. They're like, let's take a risk. So there might be riskier investments that one spouse doesn't have the stomach for and the other one made the decision. So you've got to figure out how are we splitting that up? Is there a great upside? Is there a downside? With the music industry, of course, we've got royalty streams that we've got to deal with. Any kind of entertainment, there's always going to be that sort of a residual coming in, that how we're going to split that up, what was earned when, before the marriage, after the marriage, when it comes to something like that. There can be some pretty complex estate planning, retirement planning vehicles that you want to weigh the tax consequences of how that goes to either party. If you're looking at a Roth IRA where everything's coming out non-taxed versus a traditional IRA, or the house where there's going to be a tax if it's sold. So, and then also really you have to look at alimony. Is somebody getting a $5 million house with a $1.5 million mortgage on it? And are they going to have to pay that mortgage? Are they going to be able to pay off the house? Like, when you look at these things, I'll give you an example of what I see in Nashville a lot. Younger families, let's say in the mid 40s, getting divorced. They haven't had that much time to build wealth, but they have had enough income to justify making some financial decisions, like buying an expensive house, putting the kids into private school, and thinking, oh, everything's going to rock right along and I'm not ever going to have a problem. And then all of a sudden divorce hits. Well, there's not a lot of money saved yet. They're still young and there's not a lot of money put back. So you've got a beautiful home, you've got a lifestyle you're living that costs money, but the underlying cash isn't there to produce, to allow everybody to keep that lifestyle, right? Once it's split. And so that is something I see a lot. And I would, if I could just caution people in their 30s, don't be keeping up with the Joneses. Like, let's make sure you have as much money in the bank as you can get. Don't think this is going to last forever. One of the things that I think has always helped me with my personal financial planning has been living through 2008, because that was such a horrific year for a lot of us who were, young and building and thought we were going to live forever and make money forever. And then all of a sudden everything crashes. And if you weren't in the financial world at that time, you don't know about it and you don't think about it, but people my age really do think about it. So when I look at these younger couples coming in with these decisions where they don't have the money to divide and both keep living the same lifestyle, I generally think, well, that's because they just didn't think they needed to put it back. Nobody thinks when they walk down the aisle, I'm going to get divorced. And you might not even think it at 35 or 40, but 45 maybe hits, and then there you are. So that's a trend that I'm seeing more and more. Another trend that we're seeing in Nashville is the real estate. The real estate just went through the roof and still is decent there. And so a lot of people who bought a $500,000 house all of a sudden looked at their spouse and realized, well, we're worth 1.5 just in the house alone. Let's get divorced and split it. Then they think, well, where am I going to go move, right? Because there's nothing to buy. Mm-hmm. So we've seen a lot of that kind of decision making have to go on just because of the economy. But again, those would not be my high asset divorces. In my high asset divorces, there's usually plenty to go around. It's just how are we going to divide it up?
And I feel like both sides a lot of times are going to be determined to come out ahead, or it's going to be, it's very easy to feel like you're having to give up more than the other person. Are there certain approaches that lead to fair and lasting outcomes? So there's certain ways you go about it to try to keep that sort of tension from building?
Yes, definitely. So it helps in those cases. Somebody's usually got a financial planner. Okay. If both parties trust the financial planner, great. They can both go talk to him. If they don't, one party can go get their own financial planner and just get all the information. So for instance, if I know they've got a financial planner, the first thing I want to see is what's their marital balance sheet look like? And their financial planner can put that all together for me. Here are their properties, their business may be worth X and has recently been valued. Hopefully, if not, we'll do it. These are what all their retirement accounts look like. These are what all their investment accounts look like. And we can easily discuss the tax implications of all of those, right? And that can really just sort of, it's easy to look at all those on a spreadsheet and start just moving it 50-50. Okay, well, you're getting this half, you're getting that half. Obviously, it's a whole different ballgame if there's a prenup or a postnup or something like that. But if we're just talking about a basic 30-year divorce, they've earned everything while they've been together. Yes, it can be very fair. One of the things that can be complicated is if there is a business that needs to be valued. So for instance, let's say you've got a business worth $6.5 million, but you've got assets, couple houses, cash worth 4. Well, now, sure, it's real easy to split up the 4, but somebody's getting a $6.5 million business. And the somebody getting the business is going to have to buy the other person out of it, right? And now there's not enough cash to do it. So you're looking at a long-term buyout, or go sell it, market the business and get rid of it. And that can really frustrate the person who wants to take the business, because they're going to look at it and go, well, all I'm getting is this. And I'm still paying alimony because I've got to buy this person out with some form of alimony to get them out of the business, and take on a loan. And so those can be real frustrating for people. And it's just something you've got to look at. You're getting a big asset, right? It's just not liquid. One thing one of my clients said, he was just a sweetheart. He was 63 years old. And he came in, he had no college degree, failed the 7th grade, started his own air conditioning business, and made a bundle and sold it for $8 million. Well, he came in and he was going to have to split it with his wife. They'd been together since they were 17 and 18 years old. And he said, I felt a lot better being rich at 8 million than I do at 4. I said, I understand.
Yeah, I mean,
but his lifestyle didn't change. He kept running. He went and started his own new little air conditioning business and ran it. And his life didn't change. It's just when you've got all that money in the bank that you've worked your whole life to save with your spouse, it's pretty shocking when you think you've got to split it up.
So financial privacy, often a big concern. Obviously, privacy in general with some of these high net worth clients can be a real issue. How do you help protect sensitive information during the divorce process?
It can, and it is an issue. And the sad thing in Davidson County is that they're just so used to seeing them that the judges very rarely will put a case under seal. They'll put a case under seal if there's an issue with the children that might be sensitive. They're not excited about putting cases under seal when it has to do with financials. We, of course, everything that we get is it comes through encrypted, or it's, on our server, it's safe. When information is exchanged in a divorce, we call it discovery. Discovery is not filed with the court. So if you can keep from having to go into court and fighting over, I need money for support, or I need to sell the marital home located on blank avenue that's worth $7.5 million and my spouse won't let me do it. You can keep yourself out of the public eye. You don't have to go down with all that drama. A lot of times people will bring the drama, hoping that it causes the other party to settle. But your actual financial information that you hand over and opposing counsel gets to see and your spouse gets to see, and the same thing that we get back, does not get filed with the court. But everything else is of court record, and any person in the county, any person anywhere, can pay $25 and log in and get whatever information they want. Mm-hmm. So I just advise people try to keep your personal life out of it. When the final divorce is done, there's something called a marital dissolution agreement that shows who gets what. Unless we are specifying a certain amount of money going to who or what, that money's not in there. So it might say husband will get 50% of the Roth IRA. Wife will get 100% of investment account ending in XYZ. So in those cases, there's no numbers attached to that. Your neighbors can't ever look it up and know. Alimony will be in there, a certain amount of alimony a month. Yep, that'll be in there. But typically, you can keep it pretty quiet.
Why
if you'll keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. I don't know. Doesn't it? It seems weird. Why is that stuff so? What is the thinking behind keeping that stuff available for anybody who wants to look it up?
Public record. It's just public record. And
it seems weird to me because that seems like it's more private.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, not just divorces. You can look up anybody's lawsuit anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Probate. I know you can look that up too. You can look up all that stuff, and It's interesting.
It's just gotten so much easier. It's not like I have to go down to the Wilson County courthouse and dig through records. I just can pull it up. Now, lucky for some of the people in these little counties, it is still not online. But in the big counties, you can see anybody's. So the best thing to do is, in my personal opinion, I like to keep my private life private. In my personal opinion, just keep your mouth shut. Try not to fight about things. If there's an issue, just ask your lawyer, can I get to mediation on this? For instance, if you need to sell the $7.5 million house and your spouse is saying, no way, what can we do as a compromise? Let's go to mediation. Let's do something. I don't want this in front of a judge. I don't want everybody in the world to be able to know. For instance, I'll give you a good example. I'm down in court almost every Friday morning, and famous people walk in and out of there all the time with their problems going to rehab, with their problems of not getting enough of the concert revenue, with their problems of their alimony's not enough. And I'm going to tell you, it's not just me sitting there. There's probably 75, sometimes 100 people in that courtroom getting to hear it all. So you don't want that. If you're going to court, you don't know who's in there, and then lawyers talk, right? So we're all, did you hear about that divorce that so-and-so's handling, that they're worth $100 million and she's in the loony bin? I mean, do you want that about your personal life out there like that? No, of course not. The more you can just agree and get along, the more you can keep your stuff to yourself.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely don't want the fact that I've been in and out of a loony bin now.
No. On Friday morning when everybody's just got a cup of coffee and it's like, well, I'm selling in. Let's see what's going on Friday.
Let's go.
What
are some of the other unique pressures that these clients in the high asset cases often face during the process?
Honestly, if there's a prenup or a postnup, it can get very tricky because people marry thinking, I'll sign this prenup and it's all going to be okay. We're never getting divorced. And then you do. And then you realize, I'm not going to be flying on NetJets anymore, or I'm not going to have access to the house in the Hamptons anymore. This is all going to change. And to me, the stress comes when the party realizes, I'm not entitled to half of this. That can also happen if there have been trusts put into place, if there has been inheritance that the parties were living on that was like all well and good, but it's inherited and it hasn't been commingled, then it belongs to the person who inherited it. And so despite the fact that that lifestyle might have been very lovely on that inheritance isn't free for both parties to divide. So that is where I see the biggest pressure is usually the spouse who thinks that there's going to be a big payout, and due to whatever law is in place with regard to something like inheritance, or due to a contract they may have signed, like a prenuptial agreement, they're not getting what their lifestyle looks like.
Yeah.
And they're not happy about it. Usually I will convince my client, if I have the high earner in that, or the high asset client in that, it's worth a little bit of a payout to make it go away, because it's a sad situation for everybody anyway. Let's just get it over with. You've got the money, do it. But not everybody's amenable to that. And sometimes it's just going to be, hey, you signed it. This is all you're getting. I'll see you later. I'll see you in court. Kind of depends on the person. If they would, again, if there's somebody who doesn't want their business out there, they'll be more likely to say, yeah, let's just make this go away. If it's somebody who doesn't care or is angry, then let's go to court. They can afford it, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to watch. You always have to kind of watch for that. You just don't know. Everybody's coming at it with a different emotional approach. Am I hurt? Am I mad? Am I tired? Am I wanting to be fair? Where are they when they're considering what could get this divorce over with? And where are the kids in it all, right? Because the kids mean a lot. If the children are pressuring you to, just take care of mom, she's over here and she hasn't had anything, she's been with you for 40 years, that tugs at heartstrings. Even when that person doesn't love their spouse anymore, family can really play a part in causing somebody to want to do something the right way or the wrong way.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that aspect, like some of the pressures from children or other people, friends, other people in your life. Yeah, I could definitely see how that could be a stressor.
Yeah, especially in long-term marriages with older kids, where the kids are like, guys, we just want to be able to do Thanksgiving. We just want you to be able to show up at the grandkids' birthdays. Mm-hmm. We don't want this to be a 2-year drag-out divorce. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
But you can learn a lot from how celebrities do it. Reese Witherspoon got divorced in Nashville. I never heard a peep about that one. Nicole Kidman just got divorced. You didn't hear a peep about that one.
Yeah.
Like I said, not everybody has to make a big deal of it. A lot of people can just get it done. There's probably prenuptial agreements in place, and let the lawyers sort it out, and we'll all come in and sign it. And we're not going to be mad. We're not going to act crazy. We're just private people who want to get things done quickly, and it can absolutely happen. You just have to have that attitude about it.
Yeah, check the emotion at the door and just get it done. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of Guiding Families Forward Through Divorce. If you're preparing for a high asset divorce in Tennessee, Anne and her team are here to guide you with both strategy and discretion. Learn more by visiting hamertaylor.com or annehamerlaw.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Leave us a review. We've got lots of great stuff coming your way. And always love chatting with you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.